Martin Thomas is an ace colorist, all-around nice guy, and a guy with loads of experience in the world of comics. He's worked for big publishers, little publishers, and everybody in between. I sat down to talk with him about what it's like to make a living behind a drafting table. What's the longest amount of time you've ever gone without sleep to meet a deadline?
Oh my God. I tell you what, there was the project I worked on with Chuck Jones when they did those trading cards.
Yeah,
You were
those.
there for that.
Oh, I was there for part of that cluster.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Where that was one of those like, all right, we're having meetings. Chuck Jones's granddaughter's coming into town.
Yeah, Valerie Jones.
Yeah, Valerie Jones.
Yeah.
We're getting together, having all these meetings, and then, oh, sorry, the project's dead. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ring, 2 months later. Okay, it's on, and we got to have everything this week.
Yes. Well, you know why that happened, right?
No, I don't.
Okay. Keith Wilson, my ex-beloved boss, who I'm about to rat out, had the penciling gig, and he wasn't quite doing the penciling.
Right.
So Valerie Jones flew down, came into our studio and said, hey, I'm here to sit on you guys to actually do this. So Keith had to sit there and pencil stuff and hand that over to Willingham. So all those Spaceball Jam basketball cards, penciled by Keith Wilson, inked by Willingham, and then colored by you. So it was all Austin guys.
Yeah.
And they had to get it out to meet a deadline. It was just a cluster.
Yeah, it was. I had to create 9 fully painted backgrounds by I think in 5 days.
Yeah.
And I didn't sleep 3 of those 5 days.
Oh.
And I subsisted on Dayquil.
The good kind.
Yes, the good kind. The red pill.
Yeah.
The flaming mo. Because actually had this technique of lighting them on fire just to
Sweet.
get a little extra. It was coffee, Dayquil, chicken, and oranges. And I knew I couldn't eat any carbs because it would just put me to sleep.
Yes.
So yes, that was the longest I went without sleep for anything.
Oh, that's great. And there is no chance of me finding any of those to flash as a really cool graphic to put in the frame right about now. Unless you've got some.
Actually, you know what? I was like throwing old stuff away and came across a box of them that I still have.
Yeah?
So I'll dig them out. And
Yeah?
get them
Let me
to
see
you.
what we can do then. All right. So let's pretend that you're doing a lot of mainstream work.
Okay.
How would you describe your point in the process as being a mainstream comic book creator? How would you describe being a colorist?
Being a colorist is, okay, you have an assembly line, and when everything runs smoothly, every guy has a month to do his part.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets to me, I got a whole month, color this issue that's already been penciled and inked. But the penciler is the lead singer of the band.
Yeah.
So if he takes longer, then everybody else has to make up the time.
Yeah.
And being the colorist, if both guys are late, you got to make up all that time.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's about just trying to get the thing done as quickly as possible, but still making it look good, because once the book's out there, nobody looks at it and goes, oh, well, they probably only gave him 2 weeks to do it. They go like, oh, wow, he sucks.
Yes.
So, you gotta put in the time, pull the all-nighters
Yeah.
to
Plus,
get it done.
editors tend to have a really short memory, so you can save an editor 3 or 4 times,
Yeah.
and then they'll eventually say, wow, yeah, you turn stuff around, but it looks like crap.
Uh-huh.
I don't have any more work for you because your stuff looks terrible.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you give me a third of the time that I need.
Absolutely.
All right, so when one of your wife's friends ask you, what's a colorist do, what do you tell them? Basically, what's the really dumbed down version of
Okay,
it?
the dumbed down version, sorry. It's it's hard to do it without the visuals to show. I say,
Yeah.
hey, you look at every comic book, you have to imagine in black and white, and I'm the guy who puts color in it. Now, first thing you think, well, it's like a colored book, right? Like, not really. There's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
There's, you're having to decide every color and set a mood with every panel. Now, if you show most people who think about comic books what comic books look like right now with all the computer techniques that go
Yeah.
on, the coloring, just the art in comic books is so sophisticated now.
Yes.
Way beyond what it used to be. Most people, they come and look at a comic book now and they go like, well, okay, the first thing they say is, God damn, this sure is expensive. $3-4 for these things?
And that girl's wearing a tiny costume.
Yeah. But to really look at the art, it's like, wow, every panel is a painting.
You graduated from the Art Institute in Houston in 1986.
True.
How long did it take for you to get started doing the Crying Freeman book, and was that your first thing to come out of
No, that wasn't
school?
the first thing at all. '86. The first thing I did was I started working for Blackbird Comics, which was here in Austin. It's the only reason I'm even in Austin to begin with.
Yeah.
It was one of probably like the first convention I was showing my work around, just right before graduation, and had a little 8-page story that I'd written and drawn, airbrushed it up all gray tones and everything. Showed around, not really expecting much, but the publisher, John Nordland, I dropped it off at his table, and he was going nuts wanting to find me and wanted to publish it, and I was like, yeah, okay. We formed a friendship. It was going to publish. He wanted me to do more stories and maybe do a full book. And it was right around the time of the oil bust, and there was just no jobs to be found in Houston. And I don't know, I came to Austin to visit, and I was like, man, I love this town.
Yeah.
He's like, well, our roommate's moving out. If you want to move here, you got a spot. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that. He's like, come for 2 weeks and just see if you like it. And after a week, I was like, oh, I love it. I'm staying. There was no jobs here either. But through going to conventions where I would find comic book work, picking up stuff, my first coloring gig was I was working with Mel White on a book, Duncan and Mallory, for Starblaze.
Yeah.
Robert Aspen was writing that, which I was a big fan of his Myth Adventures series, so it was close to it. Look, it was paying work. I mean, I was working at Toys R Us while I was here.
Yeah.
So here was something I could do, actually using my talent and, what I paid a shitload for education for, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that was my first coloring gig, and just kept trying to bounce that off to get to other things. From that, went to First Comics and started coloring Grimjack. That was like my first big thing. And that even came about because they first put me on Elric because the colorist, Lovern Kindzierski,
Yeah.
quit. It was like, yeah, this guy, I can't count on him. He's quitting. You want to come in and take over. They neglected to mention that he quit because they hadn't been paying him.
Yeah. I'd heard that there were payment issues at first, and I know of somebody's clever way to get paid from First, but I was waiting to hear if you know that story.
You know what? What you're saying, that sounds very familiar. I can't remember the story. It's been so long.
It's not my nuts and bolts story to tell, but one of the lead guys doing the art did the full art chores and then went and got Xeroxes of the pages done and carefully drew big fat X's through all the panels, faxed it in to prove that he'd done the work, and he said, all right, this is like a hostage negotiation. Yeah. When you guys come up with my money, then you get your pages.
Nice.
And that's the cleverest way I've found to kind of extort money out of publishers who just won't pay you.
I can't say that with First Comics because they only had me on the one book, an occasional here and there, and I made so little money doing it. I didn't get stiff from them until the very last thing I did.
Was the very last thing like one of the final issues of Grimjack or something else?
No, I think it was Metaphor, something they only did like 3 issues of. Whoa, golly, there was some reason I didn't color the last issue of Grimjack. I can't remember what it was. Huh. I don't know. Yeah.
Blood feud with one of the other creators?
No. Man, we're talking about ancient stories that I can't remember. But, I mean, when I was on the book, I stayed on it, and I did love working on it. It was my signature book. But, yeah, that came before Crying Freeman. Crying Freeman came right after that.
How'd you end up drifting over to working on Crying Freeman? That was for one of the manga publishers, right?
It was. It was Viz when they were partnered with Eclipse.
Yeah.
Putting the books out. I believe it was. I got a recommendation from to them from Leah Hernandez, who's already coloring one of their other manga books, and she, I was looking for work after Grimjack was over, and she recommended me, and they came through, and it just so happens, coincidence. Like, I'm not a big fan of manga, but I was of Crying Freeman.
Yeah.
I was already heavily into that book when it was black and white, so getting that was exciting.
Yeah.
Now, what wasn't so exciting about the book was I'd been working with Tim Vigil on something that was so full of sex to the point where, like, I even pulled those pages out recently, and I was like, I can't even look at these.
Was some of the Faust stuff?
Oh, no. Faust was one thing. This was EO, whereas, like, Faust was gratuitous violence. This was gratuitous sex to a point where it was really beyond ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not a prude. I'm a huge fan of South Park and everything else, but this, even now I look at it and go like, come on, dude. So anyway, I was like, leave that behind. Crying Freeman, this book I've always wanted. Can't wait to get started. And I'm looking at the pages. And there's a page where there's this huge 10-foot samurai type guy's a villain, and two spies who are going after him. And the male, he kills the male. He picks up the female and breaks her legs and arms, strips her clothes off, and just a full-on rape scene with his, 2-foot, almost like splitting her in half.
Yeah.
And then he tosses her over into a sewer, into a ditch, and without the use of her arms and legs, she squirms along the sewer pipe to bite a rat and eat that to survive. This is my first issue. Ryo Ikegami was probably one of the best artists I've worked on, and I mean, coloring-wise, that was like one of the best experiences. It's just his art was perfect for adding color.
Crying Freeman was pre-digital. What was the process like for getting those pages colored?
Well, that was back when used a technique called blue line, where the black and white image is printed on boards in non-repro blue. The idea being you'll color over it. Sure, the blue will make it onto the color plates, but it's such a non-offensive color. Like, even if the registration slips and you can see a little bit of it out under the black, it's not going to disrupt the picture so much. And so the pages come, and there's the same black and white image in blue, but also there's an acetate overlay with the black and white image. So as you color the board, you can lower this down and make, see what it's going to look like in the end. And with this, like my technique, I use a lot of the markers, the permanent markers. Use some paint, airbrush where I could, try to throw that in as much as possible. Most of what's done digital now is trying to copy what that looked like.
Essentially, from what I can tell, the modern color techniques, once you strip away some of the tricks you can do with the computers, are basically designed to save FedEx charges.
Yes.
Because you can send everything around digitally, you don't have to send, your acetate blue line boards around.
Well, you know what? Another thing about it, outside of the money it saves, I mean, I think it takes longer to do it digitally. It takes me longer. I mean, maybe these other guys have better techniques. I know I could color a book easily with paint in a week. Not easily in a week, but a week and a half I could do it. Digitally, it takes a lot longer. But the thing is,
one of the things that you can do when you have a lot of pages going is you can go in and do all the yellows on 3 or 4 pages, and you can work on new pages while the old pages are drying.
Yes.
Same kind of thing you do while you're inking.
And you can see everything out all at once. You can see where it's going. Where digital, a lot of it's in your head because you're only bringing up one page. I mean, depending on how fast your computer is, and you're working with print files, so they're huge. It's hard to, you got to have a serious box to be able to move things around. You could never reach that. But the huge advantage that digital has over the old technique is that no matter how beautiful of a painting you did, how great your coloring was, you were at the mercy of whoever scanned it and made the negatives and how it printed from there. Digitally, it comes out truer to what you see is closer to what you get on the end product.
That's sort of true. You can look at a lot of books on the market now, though, and you can think, wow, I bet that looks great backlit on a computer screen.
True.
But printed, it looks like ass.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain point where if you're at it long enough, you get your computer calibrated, you can get something that's close to the idea. Whereas, say, I go to Comic-Con and I see original paintings, and there's never a time when I don't look at one and go like, wow, that's so vibrant. It just leaps off the page. And even with a good printing, you look at it, it's like, it just lost that life.
Dead.
Yeah, just something's taken away.
I noticed that. I went through the Art Institute in Chicago, and they've got some John Singer Sargent paintings there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd only seen reproductions. I was like, yeah, big deal. So what? I saw him live. I was like, holy crap, that guy was a genius.
Yeah. So digitally, you get that back. Probably the biggest thing you get is an undo command.
Yes. Thank God for the undo command.
Yeah, and just how quick, how easy it is to layer or to do a page and not like it and just fix those things you like and not like, okay, throw it away, start all over from scratch.
Do you know where my career would be if I had a global undo command?
Oh, I know.
That would be awesome.
That's the thing. If everybody had that, stuff would just keep changing all the time.
Oh, man, I need that. So when I was doing my homework and looking up your resume, I found Gunfire, which you did for DC.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an awesome book.
No, it's not. Oh, is this opposite day?
Yes, it is. The first issue has this great blurb. He doesn't need a weapon. He is a weapon.
It's funny. I often forget that I did that book, and then every so often I'm looking through my comics and I find an old copy.
Yeah.
And I pull it out and I go like, how did they ever think this was going to be a good idea?
You know who penciled some of those early issues?
It was Steve Irwin, right?
Ed Benes
Oh,
penciled a few of those.
that's right.
Mr. DC House style right now
Yeah.
penciled a few of those.
Yeah. He came on towards the end. That
He
was
did some fill-ins.
that was a book that I quit, and it was one of those where, like, to me, it was a book like I was like, this book is never going to fly. It's like it's not a great idea. The costume looks dumb. It's just so very mediocre. It's not doing anything interesting or original.
But the check's clear.
Yeah, the checks were clear. Hey, I was working for DC. Who
Yeah.
who wouldn't be excited about that?
Maybe Batman will show up and save us all.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was the idea. It's like, you know what? If I just do what they want, maybe they'll move me to a better book. And I was still working a full-time job. I was working in the video game industry at the time. So I'm, again, pulling all-nighters to get this done. And then I read in the trades that Gunfire was canceled. I was like, oh, well, I guess I should be getting a call from my editor, Rob, let me know this. And a month went by, and he didn't say anything. He just told me, like, sent me the new pages. And I was like, maybe he'll say something next month. And I'm trying to wait him out because I want him to break it to me so I can go like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And have him go like, well, maybe I can get you something else.
Yeah.
After 3 months, I'm like, okay, dude, what's going on? I read that the book's canceled. Oh yeah, it is. There's only 2 issues left.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it was not gonna tell me at all. No notice. Just gonna be a month where pages didn't show up. And I'm just like, you know what? Go ahead and get somebody else to finish those. I'm done.
Yeah. So did that sour you on doing mainstream work or just working with that one editor?
It's just that one editor. I mean, there was that point where I was sick of the comic industry because they would kind of look at themselves like they were Hollywood. And I'm like, look, I get that this is a glamour profession in the lowest form of it, but this ain't Hollywood yet. This is, there's no reason to treat people like that.
Yeah.
You be a little bit more considerate. This works both ways.
Exactly. So somewhere along the way, you went over and worked at Marvel, and once again, I looked around for a decent image of your Spider-Man poster. That Spider-Man poster, if you can find one, sells for about $100 if you can still find one new.
Yeah.
I heard that you got that gig by sitting next to McFarlane at a show. Is that true?
That's absolutely true. And I really had not been a fan of his work. I was just like, oh, well, I liked it better when it was Art Adams. Well, actually, I liked it better when it was Michael Golden. But even he himself, the thing is, I was between him and Steve Root. Steve Root had been my hero forever. But art-wise, that guy was the greatest. I mean, not to say not like he's dead or anything. He's still awesome. And Todd McFarlane on the other side, which is, in retrospect, like, wow, what a dream spot I had.
Yeah.
But talking to McFarlane, he was so down to earth and cool. He loved his fans, especially the young ones.
Yeah.
He told me about how he was like, he wasn't gonna just only have his art for dealers. He's like, you know what, dealers want to buy this and just mark it up, but I want this to go to kids. And he's looking at my art, he's like, man, you're really good. You know what, you're actually better than I am. It's just that everybody's into what I'm doing right now. And it was just, he was like, you know what, we should work together on something. Give me a call and we'll get something going. And I was like, okay. Then I'm like,
At the time, he was just printing money. That's before he started printing a lot of money.
yeah, it was pre-Spawn, pre-Image.
Yeah.
When he was on Spider-Man, he was the biggest thing ever. And ran into him at Comic-Con right after that, and I'd done a piece for him, and it was one of those things where like I gone to his table after he had packed up, and the piece I'd done had been like on the ground. I was like, ah, shit. Well, I guess it's not gonna happen. But yeah, sure enough, he called me up and sent me the poster to color. And it was a great gig. It was like one of the few things I've worked on where I got royalties.
Wow.
And yeah, I got royalties for a couple, 2 or 3 years from it, and then it just kind of disappeared. No more checks. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I mean, it was good while it was there.
Yeah.
So I was at Disney World on my honeymoon, and they had postcards of it. So I'm like, I call them and I'm like, hey, guys, I'm seeing postcards. I know that wasn't part of the contract, or I'm not getting any more money from it. What's the deal?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be that much. It's just some dollars. I'm like, well, dollars are what I used to pay the rent. So if you want to, so there was one more $75 check, and that was it. But yeah, no, you know, I know people like to talk bad about McFarlane, but I defend him.
Yeah.
He was very, very good to me.
That's good. So somewhere along the way, you ended up coloring some Saxon violence. Is that true?
Boy.
Almost made you curse.
Who are you, Mike Wallace?
See, this is what happens. People don't take me seriously because I act like a goofball sometimes, but I actually do my homework.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a really pleasant experience, is what you're saying.
You know what? It wasn't like the actual doing it was unpleasant. Just the book itself was just
Yeah.
kind of like. And not to say that I wasn't a fan of George Perez. I had been since, you know, before I was working professionally. He was one of my favorites as a kid. And that came about because, you know what, I got to be friends with Marie Javins, who was an editor at Marvel. So any Marvel stuff I did outside of the Spider-Man poster was because she heard about something. She said, hey, they need something on this. Or this guy's, the colorist on Saxon Violence is running late. Do you want to pick up some pages from it? And I was like, sure, you bet.
Great. It sounds like there's a military skirmish line, and whenever a guy drops, they say, we need another warm body. Get somebody in the hole.
Pretty much,
Boom.
yeah.
That's the day it's a good day to have your portfolio on somebody's desk.
Yeah, I mean, my backing off from comics, when I talked about it being like Hollywood, it became one of those things where I reached a point where I was spending more time trying to get work than actually working on the stuff itself.
Yeah.
And, I was into multimedia at the time. I was working at a video game company, and then I started doing animation. And I was like, wow, you know what? These multimedia jobs, they pay a lot more than comics, and there's a lot less work to do.
Yeah.
Huh.
More money and less work. Something here doesn't happen.
Right.
So that's one of the things that people don't entirely get about comics work or work in the arts in general, is that most work like that is temp work. So you spend a lot of time looking for your next job because
Yeah.
some of these things are just finite. It's going to run 4 and then you're off and you're unemployed again.
Absolutely. And during the boom, it became really easy to work anywhere in the country because, hey, they would just use FedEx.
Yeah.
No matter where you were, you FedEx everything. You could talk over the phone, make deals. When the bust happened and the money started to dry up, it seemed like they were only hiring guys who lived in the area who got FaceTime.
They didn't want to spend the money on FedEx.
Yes, or if you were there and you could walk into the office and they could see you, they could go like, "Hey, I got a book. You want to work on this?"
Yeah.
Otherwise, they were like, "No, things are tight. We got nothing."
I can't show up on your doorstep and get my pages back.
Yeah,
There's that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, it just became so much harder for a while. Now I think that's kind of like backed off some.
Ironically, one of the big things that's changed is that because everybody can communicate better now, you see a lot more Brazilian artists, Italian artists,
Yeah,
guys that work where there's a lower standard of living, so DC and Marvel can pay them less.
yeah,
So comic book jobs are being outsourced, which is ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. Because when I see the amount of work that those guys are putting into comics,
Yes.
and I know what the ceiling is on what those companies are willing to pay. I'm like, they got to live someplace that's poor, where
Yeah.
to them they're making a fortune.
Exactly, and that's good for them. But well, you say you backed off from comics. You backed off from them, except for some notable examples. You did manage to color some Pantheon stuff for me. I forget who had to buy who drinks to get that job started. Was I buying you drinks? Were you buying me drinks? What the hell was that?
You were buying me lunches at Gumbo's, as a matter of fact.
They have awesome gumbo at Gumbo.
They do. Yeah, that was one of those where I think I hadn't really colored like a full issue in a while. I'd just been doing covers for you.
Yeah.
And then you approached me about doing that. I was like, yeah, it might be fun to get back into.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. It was no fun at all. I do think it depends on the artist though, and I can't remember or don't want to say the name of the artist who was on the book. And it wasn't like the guy was bad at drawing.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He just didn't know light and shadow at all.
Yeah.
So everything was open on the same plane, and there was just no cues. There's no place. It was like
Yeah.
really, I was having to work and put color in every single thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a grinder.
Plus some hack inked it, so
Oh,
you have
that's
problems like
Come on, that's got nothing to do with it.
Right.
But then later, I got roped into doing a book a few years ago, Left on Mission for Boom.
Okay, that's one of those things I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Because I heard how you got that job.
Oh, you did.
That's an awesome story too.
I bet there's one guy out there who doesn't think it's awesome at all.
He probably doesn't have the internet anymore. Keep going.
Okay. So Chip Mosier, he's the marketing director at Boom. But when he first got in, he wrote a book. He wrote a miniseries that he pitched to them, and they were willing to publish. It was early in their when they started. Spy book, Left on Mission, and he was just consulting me. We'd been really good friends. I'd been the best man at his wedding, and so he's like, hey, so here's some of the art for my book. Francisco Francavilla was doing it. Like, wow, man, you got a great artist on here. I love this guy's work. And he said, okay, now I got some samples from the colorist who's going to be on the book. At first few pages he showed me, I was like, hey, these look pretty nice. Good. Hey, man, congratulations.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great looking book. Then he contacts me a few weeks later and goes like, here's some more pages the guy did. I don't like them, but what do you think? And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, these aren't nearly as good as the others. I was like, but to give him home, like, but don't panic. You know what? Here's the thing. Let me just take these pages because I see what they need. Just a little bit here and there. I'll doctor them up. I was like, send them back to him. Like, just show the guy this. Tell him you want something more this way. So this guy, and this is the first book he's ever colored. Now, rather than like taking the notes, because you're working for a client, your client's not happy. You want to make your client happy. That's what they're paying you for.
That's the job.
That's the contract you go into with
Yes.
these things. Rather than looking at it that way, he wrote a 3 or 4 page letter to send to the publisher and to Chip about how he didn't appreciate being told how he should do it. He went into the history of his style, where it came from, what he was trying to achieve, and they should not tell him how to do his job. And even though I said it just now in 6 sentences, he wrote pages.
Oh yeah.
So this gets to the publisher, and the publisher's like, I'm not even reading this. Just tell this guy he's fired.
Yeah.
So then Chip calls me up and tells me this, and he's like, yeah, so I don't have this guy in the book, but now I got nobody, and it's got to come out, and I don't know what to do.
Thanks, Martin.
Yeah. So I'm like, great. Now I feel responsible. And I'm like, all right. He's like, I just wish I could get you to do it. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll do it, because it really played on my sense of guilt. And I squoze it in with everything else. And Francesco is, how many different things have I called him? Francesco, Francesco, I can't remember now. Anyway, Francavilla, he's really good. Great with the light and shadows. He did these pages where every time I looked at him, the colors would like pop in my head immediately. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. So it was fun for a while. Like I said, for the 6 issues, it was fun for the first 3 or 4. And then it came down to like, all right, let's just get these done. And it was another one of these things where they paid so little, it would have been less of an insult for me to do them for free, which in my head I was. I'm like, I'm just doing a favor for a friend.
Okay, I'm doing these for free, and then somebody's going to tip me.
Yes, exactly. But I was proud of the work. I really liked the way that book came out.
I think it came out. I think it looked good.
Yeah, and the guy who lost the job, he did post online something about it, about how, they fired me just so they could get a guy who worked on a Spawn poster or something, whatever. And I saw his post and I wrote him back. I was like, look, dude, I didn't come in to take your job. I was trying not to take your job. I didn't want this job. And I tried to help you out. And you did the worst thing you could possibly, like, this job was yours to lose. And boy, did you go for it.
Yeah, publishers just don't want to read the 3 or 4 page, here's what's wrong with your interpretation of my work.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally a line of people around the block to work in comics, and they don't have to put up with any crap.
No. Don't be a headache, because they'll take an aspirin and get rid of a headache.
That's it. Are you working on anything else? You want to plug the spill stuff? You want to? You want to admit to everybody that your name is actually Leon?
Yes. If you go to spill.com, I'm sorry, we have a big convention called spill.con. I get these confused.
Yeah.
Spill.com, where I'm the character Leon. On there every week for a lot of the animated movie reviews. We also do a weekly podcast called The League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen. that's a big drinking cuss fest where we talk about a lot about comics and TV shows. And yeah, usually like after I've had a few beers, I remember more of my old comic book war stories. So if you want to hear more, that's a good place to go to catch them.
You know, I think I cost myself work by being on the
No.
League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen. I went on there and I said some stuff I probably shouldn't have about working at IDW, and
Oh.
they got a little bit cranky, and then my phone calls and emails stopped getting returned.
Oh.
So who knows?
Okay. So yeah, if you're a comic book professional, come on our show so we can ruin your career.
That's kind of what happened to me.
But
You know, I helped.
But before it happens, you'll have a really fun night.
That's right. There are shots before every show, which, you know, is a plus.
Yeah, yeah. We you know what? We just try to have fun with it. I mean, yeah. It's funny because I think about all that time I spent working in comics, and once it was done, I'm like, well, I guess that's over. It's like, oh, hey, wait, I get to use all that again.
Yes, for more pay and less work.
True. It actually is. Now that you mention it.
That's one of those things where I think you have to really love working in comics to keep working in comics, because you just, unless you end up being one of the rock stars like some buddies of mine, you end up just being crapped on constantly.
Oh, it's totally one of those things where if you don't love it, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it's funny how with comics generate so much money. The comic industry, you know, the comic sphere generates so much money, except for the comics themselves.
Yes,
Like everything else associated with comics can make money, but not the comic books.
that's right. The peanut butter sales are through the roof.
Yeah.
Superman, you know, extra chunky is making all kinds of bread, but
But Superman in the comic books, we got to reboot this thing because it's
60,000
not selling.
copies, we got to start over.
Yeah.
Damn it. So I was recently a guest at a small show here in town in Austin, and as part of that show, I had to get up and draw in front of a lot of people, which I really hate doing. So I thought I would cheat. I took something to ink with me, and I sat inking in between breaks of having to get up and draw in front of people, which I really hate, and then donated the finished piece to the charity auction there. And a girl in the crowd said, "You know, I could just watch you ink all day." So this is me calling her bluff, live through the magic of HD videotape. I had purchased this piece of artwork from MC Wyman and scanned it into the computer and converted that to a blue line. And then I took that blue line and added some graphics to it and printed that out. So I took that to Kinko's, and there I was. Originally, this inking job took me about an hour. I cut out the parts where I was staring at the artwork and cut that down to 45 minutes and then compressed it to 6. So we get the full experience of me inking an hour's worth of work in 6 minutes, which is pretty awesome. So I started with doing the hard mechanical parts of the artwork, like her tiara, her costume, the little stars, the bracelets, the whatever else. From there I went on and I did some rough figure work. I tried to pull that left shoulder, her left shoulder, I tried to pull that one towards me, and I did some inking with that. I started working on the body, and then I finished that up. It went to the hair and finished off with the face, the theory being that I wanted to be sharp by the time I got to the most important part. Unfortunately, she still has this wonky eye in the final artwork. To recap, I did the hard mechanical lines, the figure work, finally finished with the face and hair, and then bang, a little bit of color from Dr. Martin Thomas. Okay, that's pretty much it, except for one last thing. Let me tell you about what's at the top of my reading pile. I just finished reading Scalped Casino Boogie. It's got words by Jason Aaron and pictures by R.M. Guerra, whose last name I just murdered. It's the best crime comic on the market now. It's better than Darwin Cook's Parker adaptations, and it's better than Criminal because it gives us a window into a third world on the reservation. So it's got the social aspects on top of the crime aspects. Plus it's got sex, violence, cursing, three of my favorite things. I'd like to give a special thanks to Martin Thomas for agreeing to sit down with me for this interview. We shot this at Tribe Comics in South Austin, one of my favorite shops in the whole damn town.